Did you know that over 85% of Americans would rather die than think? Studies show that over 85% of Americans would rather die than think when they have problem or situation that they are going through, that they are faced with, instead of taking a pen and paper and sit down and write exactly what the problem is, and now come up with ideas, as many ideas as to how this problem can be solved. So this is how this is how to think. What is it that is bothering me? What is the problem or the challenge that I have right now? What is the situation? What is angering me? What is upsetting me? What is the deadline that I have to meet, to pay, to do? What is the report I need to submit at a certain time? So thinking is you write down the issue, the problem, the challenge, the obstacle, the whatever you're working on is the subtitle. Take a clean sheet of paper, write it down, and now come up with different, just let your mind, cut it loose, let your mind just soar on. Don't criticize whatever idea. If it might seem dumb or not very useful or just plain ordinary, just put that idea down, write it down, let the ideas just fall. And following this process, the answer is in this ideas that you just put down. All those things that you just pour down, the solution to the problem, to what you need to get to resolve the problem is in that all the answers you came up with, all the suggestions you came up with. Anyways, what is manifestation? Manifestation is getting whatever thing you desire, is getting the result that I want. Manifestation is arriving to your end goal or your desire. The word manifestation has been pretty much exported to the high heavens. Whenever we hear the word manifestation, people just think about some woo-woo lands, mystical powers. When we talk about meditation, people think about mysticism. When we talk about hypnosis, people think about something diabolic. I don't know, people just have this conception. Or is it just me that when we talk about manifestation, affirmation, meditation, that you are practicing some type of religion? I mean, there's really no religion to it. It's life, it's what we do, whether you know it or not. Every day you are manifesting something. Every day you are affirming something. Affirmations are words that we speak. Any word you speak or think, that is an affirmation. So some people think when you talk about meditation, everybody does meditate. The question is, how aware are you that you are meditating? And how aware are you in your thoughts? How aware of the thoughts you are thinking? Are you serving the thoughts or the thoughts are serving you? Are you the master of your thought or your thoughts have mastered you? Very simple. Basically, without teaching anything, I'm not here to teach anybody nothing. Everything I'm talking about, we already know. You know it. You know it. You talk about how did you start your day today? When you woke up, you had thought. What was this thought about? The thoughts you had were the predominant thoughts that was going on in your head before you went to sleep. If you were having a fight with your spouse, those were the last thoughts in your head. If you were a student, you were working on a project. When you wake up, those were the thoughts that you woke up with. If you were thinking about a business opportunity that you're working on, and you were talking about the process, when you woke up, you fed your subconscious mind all those things that I just explained, all those ideas, all those thoughts. Your subconscious mind goes to run while you're sleeping, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, it is happening. Your subconscious mind goes to work, creates everything, because our subconscious mind does not think the way we think. The universe does not arrange things in the same order that our logical brains operate. That is why a lot of people are so fearful, or they listen to the news, they run with the news, they go by their senses. So the five senses is what over 99% of population operate on. The subconscious mind in the universe does not operate in that fashion. There's something called a higher faculty. A higher faculty is your memory, reason, will, perception, imagination, intuition. Those six faculties, higher faculties, we all have them. The question is, how aware are you of these higher faculties? How well have I mastered my intuition? If you master it, it can be mastered, but I'm saying mastering it is a beautiful thing. They say you can't change anything in your life if you don't learn, unlearn, and relearn. A lot of people want to put something where something already is. If something is already on something, you cannot add something else. That is where you have a lot of headbutting and friction. Okay, let me tell you the story. Somebody wanted to learn the ways of the Jedi Masters. Somebody wanted to be wise. This young scholar, he traveled and traveled until he found the Jedi Master. He was like, I want to learn the ways of the universe. I want to be wise. I want to be smart. I want to be just like you. The Jedi gave him a cup of water. He started pouring water into the cup. He kept pouring the water and the cup was full. So he kept pouring the water and kept pouring and pouring. This student got so upset. It was like, how can you be a Jedi master? How can you be this great teacher? Can't you see that the water is healing? I heard you were very smart. You had all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the understanding. Can't you see the cup is full and you're just spilling water? The master finally spoke. He said, you came in here with your cup already full. There's nothing I can do for you. You are already full. You will not find that answer in your own thing. So the best way to learn is to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. Every day, if we can just be open to learn, unlearn, and relearn, I don't need to tell you anything new that you don't know, that you will not be able to figure out yourself. I was sharing this story with somebody earlier. I had a patient today and she's going through some health challenges. We start talking about affirmation, manifestation. Definitely what she's going through, that will be top on her priority of manifestation. So we go sharing ideas and concepts, and I'm like, nothing is permanent. Anything is changing. You can achieve any result you want. You just need to understand how things work in that realm. Those are not my exact words, but she got it. We start talking about how people have healed their body by thought alone, by programming their mind, by hypnotizing themselves. I mean, there are testimonies that are people that have recreated body organs and parts just by the non-conventional medical way. I have nothing against medicine. I work in the medical field. I believe in the medical field. What I'm saying is, be open to the point where you are not following the program written by somebody else. The only way to be open is to be non-judgmental. When you hear a new idea, you don't just kick it away, kick it off without giving it a second thought. When something doesn't look like what you were raised or how you were raised, you immediately tune it off. We do this daily, regularly, second per second. Our lives, that is just a printout of the program. That's all human beings. We are printout of a program. The question is, whose program are you running? Who programmed you? As kids, we get programmed by our environment, get programmed by our society, the books we read, the culture. Well, the first program starts from parents, culture, family, religion. Babies were programmed from zero, from the moment of conception. Even before conception, programming has started. So those programming, a child from 0 to 7 is operating on an alpha wavelength. A child is operating on another wavelength, on another frequency, on another vibration. After age 7 is the age of consciousness. Consciousness kicks in. That's when children start asking questions. You hear most kids start asking, is there a God? Is there a heaven? What is death? Do people die? What does death look like? What does heaven look like? Who is God? What is the color of God? What is the color of this? They start asking a lot of questions. Even, you notice, they start asking questions about family, mother, father, grandpa, grandma. They're beginning to put sentences together, thoughts together, things are beginning to, after age 7, they're coming off of that programming. So the programming is 0 to 7, and age of consciousness kicks in. We were all programmed like that. The question I ask is, whose program are you running? Whose program am I running? That's what I ask myself constantly, regularly. And even recently, I found out, I became aware, more conscious, more aware of what was going on. This is my interaction with my own mother. And I'm listening to the kinds of things she's talking about. And I'm like, a lot of times I go quiet and just listen and just put things together. Wow, so this is how I got programmed. So this is the big part for me here, because this is the woman that birthed me. She gave life to me from 0 to 7. I was being under her. She was a major influence. Society that I was a part of, at 0 to 7. When I go back and where I was at that time period, that is a big part of who I am today. And as much as I've been in America all these years, my programming started somewhere. My concept of life, of relationship, of dealing with people, of that programming controls my perception. Even though I've gone to school, I didn't start out. Okay, so my story is, in my final year of college, I got a chance to live my American dream. I got a green card. I won a green card lottery. And I came to America thinking, I had all my preconceived notion of America. First landed in Texas. I thought everybody in Texas were cowboys. I would see cowboys and horses and ranches. Honest truth, this is what I thought. That was my perception of America, of Texas. And things were totally different when I arrived. I'm like, wow, this is America. Really? Fast track to now. But you see how over time, how I'm adapting to the system, to the society. But a big part of that adaptation comes from my perception, comes from my upbringing, comes from my programming. So I had to join this society from a different programming. And that programming is what I'm becoming aware of. And now becoming a master of my programming. Because if I master myself, then I cannot hold anybody responsible for what's going on in my life. I don't hold anybody responsible of who I am, of how much money I earn. In a land where there's so much abundant opportunity, where you have the freedom to do any kind of business you want, study any kind of education, get any degree. The opportunities are limitless in America. So my story is, I came from 0 to where I am now. I came from the slums, the ghettos of Ajegunle in Nigeria, and now I'm living in America, in Newport Beach, in Irvine. This is my neighborhood. This is my area. This is where I go to meditate, where I go to get into vibration. So, do affirmations work? Somebody may ask. And like I've said a couple of times on this podcast, the questions you should ask is, what if affirmations work? when you do that shift, what if they work? What do you have to lose? Why don't you just try it and see if you're working on anger, you're working on forgiveness? That's why most people are sick anyway. All the anger and hate that we hold, those emotions, they turn into sickness down the line. I'm not saying taboo or woo-woo stuff. Science has concluded or says the same thing. Don't get me wrong, anger is an emotion. Yes, everybody has anger. It has its place. I guess the Bible, for all the Christians here, the Bible says, be angry but not to sin. Anger not controlled is the problem. When anger gets out of control, that it lingers into a mood, linger into a emotion of hatred. It just keeps adding on. Some people are still mad at their parents for something they did 15 years ago. Some people are still mad at their husbands or their exes. And sometimes the person is already dead. Some people are mad at a spouse that died 15 years ago. What he did or said, they're still holding on to this anger and hate and emotion. And that is the kind of anger that I'm talking about. You get it? What if it is possible that you can rewire your brain? You can change, you can control how your emotions, instead of your emotions controlling you. That's basically what it means to manifest, to bring to life, to become aware. Awareness is becoming conscious of your unconscious thought. What is awareness? Awareness is seeing what has always been there. Say I had my glasses on my hand and I've been looking all over for it. And all of a sudden, I roll my hand and I feel the glasses. I'm like, wow, I thought these glasses were lost. I've been stressed looking for those glasses, but they've been there. They've been there. So there's nothing I'm telling you that is not there. It's right here in this universe. How to overcome anger, how to overcome hatred, how to overcome unforgiveness, even if it's anxiety, even if it's what people call stress. Stress has been tied to every kind of sickness in the world today. Everybody talks about stress. The rich man talks about stress. The poor man talks about stress. The CEO talks about stress. The messenger boy talks about stress. The cleaner, the security talks about stress. So is stress out there in the world, or is stress in people? So I'm not here to make an argument. All I'm asking is a question. Is the stress in the work you do, or is the stress inside of human beings? When you master your emotion, how to master your emotion, this thing is easy. You are thinking about things with the five senses. That's why it is so hard. You know what the five senses does? It tries to answer all the questions before it starts to make any progress or makes any move. That's why so a lot of people want to start businesses. They have not started because they can't figure out it takes to start a business. That's not how you start a business. Start a business. Now, I'm not saying don't do your research, don't write your proposal, come up with the idea. You have to be clear with the idea. Clarity is number one key. And once you're clear, start the business. A lot of people have all kinds of, they've done projects, they've done research, they have all the documents to start a business. Why have you not started that business? You've done all the research. Fear is the thing. Overcome that emotion of fear. And how did we become fearful? That is a programming that started from childhood. That is the programming that started oftentimes before you were born. So if you don't know that you even have that fear, you don't even stand a chance of rewiring or rewriting that program. And that's what awareness is. Awareness is becoming aware, is seeing what has always been there. Awareness is becoming conscious of your unconscious thought. All right. Have a very good rest of your afternoon. DM the word affirm. Enjoy the rest of your day. Life is good. I manifest health, wealth, abundance, and riches. I manifest all the beauty of life, health, happiness, peace, love, beauty. That's an affirmation, a repetition, habituation, hypnosis, and it becomes a lifestyle. It's a beautiful thing. All right, see y'all.